leaders around the world. So, part of the whole sound working through the system. We had an amazing day yesterday dedicated to empowerment. If you haven't seen it yesterday, incredible content. You can go and look at the video on demand. There's a beautiful showcase. We'll make sure the links are all out there. You should be able to navigate from worldunityweek.org to find the content from yesterday in the past programs. Amazing youth leaders. We had International Children's Month. We had the Youth Speak Up plenary, which was incredible. So just a beautiful day yesterday for day 2. And now we're on day 3 of the World Unity Week 2023 New Earth Rising. Day 3 of the 99 Days of Peace through Unity, leading us all the way through to Peace Week. Can you imagine where we're going to be when we get to September? It's very, very exciting to see all these organizations collaborating, coming together, spirit of unity and oneness, which is today's frequency, today's theme. So without further ado, I'm going to throw now to Steve Farrell from Humanity's team and his brand new book. As I said, I had the privilege to sit down with Steve Farrell just a little while ago and talk about his brand new book, A New Universal Dream. So let's go and let's hear that discussion from Steve, talking about his debut book. And Steve's a legend, so it's a fantastic discussion. Thank you, guys. Let's play the video.
Well, hello friends. My name is Ben Boulder from Unity Earth, and I'm excited to be sitting down here in World Unity Week with a dear friend and a brother and one of the great transformational leaders on the planet, Steve Farrell. Steve, welcome to World Unity Week.
Ben, hey, thank you so much for having me. Really wonderful to be here with you and all of these viewers.
And Steve, we were just talking for a few minutes off air about the event we attended in Sedona a couple of months ago called the Hollow Movement, and how great it was to be back in person and be around, such a hive of transformational leadership and activity. There's a lot of beautiful things that are happening, and we're here in World Unity Week in June. We got the 99 Days of Peace through Unity September, building up to the Global Oneness Day and Global Oneness Summit in October, stewarded by your organization, Humanity's team. There's a lot happening. It's an exciting time.
It is an exciting time, and as you mentioned, Hollow Movement there in Sedona, there were so many leaders from all over the world present, and boy, that was such a treat, because in today's world, we're just like we're on Zoom here, which is fabulous because we can reach people all over the world. But boy, it's a treat when you can come together physically with people that are doing really huge things, devoting their lives, to this transformational work.
And that's why we wanted to sit down with you, Steve, because you have given your life to this work as a leader. You are the founder, co-founder, and executive director of Humanity's team, which is doing extraordinary stuff at scale to really move the needle on consciousness. And one key reason why we're sitting down together today, well, you're an ambassador for World Unity Week, so thank you for being an ambassador, Steve, and it's great to have you. But you are the author of this brilliant brand new book that's out. A New Universal Dream. My journey from Silicon Valley to a life in service to humanity. I just love that title, Steve, A New Universal Dream. And what an amazing journey that you've had from Silicon Valley to now everything that you're doing with Humanity's team. It really is extraordinary. So first and foremost, congratulations on the book, Steve.
Thank you, Ben. Real privilege and pleasure to get this book out in the world. It was a labor of love to hold together and a 50-year true story journey. Yeah, thank you.
A 50-year true story journey. That's beautiful. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be intrigued and want to get their hands on this book, want to get out there and read it and share the lessons with their friends about your life story, which really is in a way, Steve, an arc representing all of us as we transition from a material mindset to a spiritual consciousness. Something that you and I both have in common with millions of people around the world is we were really deeply touched by the Conversations with God series back 20 odd years ago, at the turn of the century, turn of the millennium, when those first books came out from Neale Donald Walsch, of course. And we know Neale Donald Walsch has gone on to become a great co-creator with you and Humanity's team, and you work very, very closely with him and really are arm in arm in what you do together with Humanity's team. So I wanted us to start our discussion today, Steve, back in the sort of the spiritual inspiration, if you like, around what did those books mean to you, the Conversations with God series? How did they inform your journey in your life?
Yes. Well, as you mentioned, boy, such huge books for both of us. And so for me, wow, it was 1995 is when book one came out. And I was in the middle of this American Dream thing then, where, two guys with used furniture and a teeny little, very inexpensive executive suite, all we could afford, start this company there in 1990. And oh my gosh, the internet is born, and bam, this thing just takes off like lightning. So there in 1995, we were in a big, huge growth spurt, hiring people. We went from the 2 people to 175 people in 1999. So I was not looking actually, for a spiritual awakening, but I read Conversations with God, book one there in 95. There was a particular, I was jogging in the morning and things. And at the time that I read the book, I was thinking about obedience, kind of funny, but I was reading the Bible, and it was saying, be obedient. And I thought, why would God ask me to be obedient? I mean, I love God, with all my heart. I would follow God in an instant anywhere, a horse, with a bit in its mouth being led around. I don't understand this word obedience. And then I read book one, and all of the God that I'd known was there, loves us unconditionally, adores us, all of us, that we are actually all a part of God. All of life is the whole of cosmos. Life and God are interchangeable words, which means everlasting life, unlimited potential, all these things. Well, if I look a little animated now, you should have seen me back in 95. And so I was not looking for spiritual awakening, but let me tell you, boy, was there a spiritual awakening that happened. And so actually over a period of 6 years, I lost my passion for business, sold everything and left, as you mentioned, I co-founded then shortly after that, Humanity's team with Neale Donald Walsch.
Mm-hmm. What a radical transformation. My goodness. That is a very quick and a complete surrendering of one path for another, total transformation, Steve. That's amazing. That's an amazing story. And, you tell the story kind of as well, it was a while ago now, I suppose, but you tell it as if it was such an obvious thing to do. But for so many people, that would be the hardest thing they could ever do, to hand over their business, their baby, their profit-making, entity and follow a brand new path of uncertainty and not knowing how you've got to. I just want to acknowledge what an incredibly, brave and courageous decision that was to do that. But it sounds like at the time you really had no other option. There was only one pathway before you, and you walked it.
That's exactly what it was, Ben. Boy, God just got my whole heart there. And just really. So, there was a moment in there where I remember just looking out the window, and there were 2 realities, and I had to choose which one. So I was either primarily the son of Joe and Linda, born into this lifetime, or primarily a part of the One, an emanation of the One, a son of the One, the creator of the entire universe. And yes, my parents were the airport gateway that delivered me to the earth, but I'm primarily a part of the One with many, many, many lives, here with all of this potential. And I realized whatever decision I made there, as I was looking out the window, that my whole life was going to reflect that decision. I would continue on the same track with the One choice, and it was going to go in a whole nother direction. I didn't know what direction, but I was going to live my life integrity to that. And I did choose the latter, my truth, that is that I'm, and not just me, you, every person here, we are all sons and daughters of the One, so boy, we ought to be standing up straight, walking with great posture. We are sons and daughters of the One. And so I didn't know where that would lead me. But as you mentioned, there was even a moment in there with my wife. We didn't have kids yet. And I went to Stephanie and I said, Stephanie, I hope I need to sell everything. I need to leave. I need to go on this personal journey, which can be very family oriented, but also spiritual. And I'm not sure if I'll ever get paid, I'll ever have income again in my life. And I hope that maybe this could work for us. And she said, I'm in, let's do it. Let's go. And she's been with me every step of the way. I'm blessed because in Silicon Valley, where where you're making 7 figures every year, and then you say it's over and maybe no more paychecks ever again. I'm not sure how many spouses could go with that, but mine did.
Amazing. That really is a testimony, Steve. What an extraordinary woman Stephanie is as well. And this whole story of going with you in this new journey, which was really seeding the seeds for this new universal dream. So tell us a little bit about what was in those early days of Humanity's Team, right? You've read the book, you're inspired, you're fired up, you're on now this family mission and you connect with Neale. You've obviously written to him at some point and got connected with him and said, hey, you've changed my life. Now let's do something together. What was the intention? What was the goal or the vision of Humanity's Team in those really early days, 20 odd years ago?
Yeah, boy. So thank you. And a perceptive question. And I'll even back up to the planning session. So, I did sell everything. I left Young Presidents Organization, all of that. And so there was about 1.5 years in there where I was not devoted to anything. I was trying to figure out what this new spiritual journey was going to be. Got to know Neale. He had me come up and meet him there in Oregon. So there in very early 2003, he said, hey, would you join me in a planning session at my home here in March? We launched Humanity's Team in June. There were 20 of us gathered in Neale's home talking about this whole, in fact, Tomorrow's God, if you've read this particular, there are 9 Conversations with God books. In Tomorrow's God, it's pretty surreal. God and Neale are talking about the founding of Humanity's Team and what it would do. It's like, wow, and it was incredibly challenging. This won't sound challenging. Then in 2003, where Neale said the whole thing is going to be narrow and deep, the whole thing is that we are one with God and each other and all of life. That's the whole thing, narrow and deep. We're going to go back to the causal thing, the first domino that sets everything in motion, because where we understand that that's what ultimate reality is, we live a completely different life. And this was so challenging to people in the room that our first planning session day was Saturday, and a little more than a third of the room did not come back Sunday morning. It was like, I can't even plan this thing. This is like radical. And I get it, because even though I'd already gone through myself with the YPO, I was saying, I'm going to go on a spiritual journey. I'm not going to do business anymore. And I'd lost most of my friends. Clearly, I knew, man, if I think I got few family members and friends that are close to me yesterday, tomorrow's going to be another day. So it was, you gulped hard, but it was my truth. It was real. And I'm like, I'm in, God's brought me to this point. I'm in. And I ended up being the one in the room that helped Neale launch Humanity's Team. And then shortly thereafter, he asked me if I'd be the executive director, which of course I said yes to.
Wow. What a spiritual adventure. What a spiritual adventure. It reminds me, we weren't going to kind of get scriptural in this conversation, but it reminds me of one of the parables or the stories in the Bible where there's the wealthy man, Steve, who wants to follow Jesus. And then Jesus says, well, give everything away and come follow me. And he just can't do it, and he says, he's conflicted and he can't do it. And, just acknowledging that just because the call is clear doesn't mean that the action is foregone conclusion, right? And, there are a lot of people out there who maybe are caught in that bind of feeling like, I can't give this up. I can't surrender that. I can't make that sacrifice. And then don't get to go on that spiritual adventure, don't get to go on that spiritual journey. just before we move on into your other lessons from the book, would you say to somebody who's in a situation like that, to spiritual adventure and doesn't want to pay the price?
So yes, let me take you through, and I cover this in some depth in this book, A New Universal Dream. And if you go to anewuniversaldream.com, you can read about it in their free chapters. You can view. So Governor Hamid Moghadam, who is the CEO of the largest real estate equity investment trust in the world, was my friend in the chapter. Andy Cunningham, who was the genius that worked with Steve Jobs, the marketing genius to launch the Macintosh, was in my chapter. And those are only 3. There were 55. So, and then with if I was making a lot, you should see what these people were making, in terms of the financial wealth. Now, but here's the thing is, and it's part of the reason I wrote the book, is people believe that there's this American dream that, yes, some equal opportunity in education, which is good. That dream belongs to the whole world. But people keep climbing up the ladder, and it becomes about pain, power, fame, and fortune as you keep climbing the ladder. And you know what I found as I climbed this ladder, and I was in what they call forum, where there are these confidential conversations where people are talking about their relationship with their wife and their kids and their coworkers and their best friends and stuff, is there were huge challenges on all of these relationships because there's so much, you've hit the jackpot financially, and there's so much effort and energy into keeping that jackpot going that those that are closest to you, nearest and dearest, relationships atrophy. Not in all cases, there were a few that could pull it off, but in most cases. And so it was like a fool's gold. It was, and also they get to a target of 100 million in sales, and they go, "We're going to get to 200 million next," and they get to 200 million. So it's like a mirage, an oasis. Oh, there's the oasis, but it just keeps moving out there. You never can quite get to the oasis. Like, this is what I could see. And this was at a time when, just like in today's world, we look out with global warming and a war, now it's the Ukraine that could turn into a World War III and all these things, where the world's very challenged, and where we know ourselves to be, we're a son or daughter of the divine, of the creator of the whole universe. And we were put here, we embodied here now, where we could play a role, to help, to just be constructive, be our larger self, where we're in service to the world around us, which was what you do, Ben, your viewers here do. And so to stay in the fool's gold world where the mirage is there and it's always pushed out and relationships atrophy because they're not getting attention, it was like, why would I do this? It's like I'm playing a kid's game. And then here's the really cool thing, to get to the real heart of your question, is, boy, but there actually is real treasure, real gold. There's real prosperity, a real deliciousness of life. Where is it? In this work. And I know, Ben, you would say the same thing. It's in this work that we actually find it, where, the relationships that you have are so delicious, real love, real service. And not only that, but on the financial side, this whole, in the Bible, it says, give unto the kingdom, and then all things are given unto you. And wow, it's not that I have a 7-figure salary every year, because I don't, but the things, the house that I was able to land in, the different, the resources that have come to Humanity's team, there's more than enough. It's more than enough. And so I did find that treasure at the end of the rainbow. And so you will too. This is the thing, is it's not special to any person. Every single one of us, you are a daughter or son of the divine. And so, and that kingdom is opening up to you, with all the treasure. So all we have to do is say, I use sometimes the word surrender. I'll surrender unto this, or you could say, I'm going to serve that higher, more noble kind of goal out in the world. And when we do that, then this whole circular thing happens, where all of these treasures, people that you love dearly, and all of the resources, these things come back to you, and you have the most delicious life, truly. So we don't give anything up to walk this path. This is a myth. No, we actually find that treasure at the end of the rainbow when we follow this journey.
Mm-hmm. Beautifully expressed, Steve. Steve, let me ask you, in light of all that, for your journey, what's been the biggest challenge
The biggest challenge, gosh, it's been different things at different points along the way. Early in the journey, as part of the reason for writing the book, it was quite challenging. My family and my these partners of mine in YPO, were they really worried about me? They loved me dearly. We'd been together. My mind, of what you're gonna. My brother, who I dearly love, who came into Humanities Team later, and I think now would view this differently. He worked with us for a few years back, but back at the beginning of this, he flew out and he said, "Steve, oh God, don't throw your life away. What would you hope to? I mean, what can one person do? What do you hope to accomplish? You've hit you've got the lottery ticket here. Why would you throw that in the trash? So it's very hard." Even though I knew what I would do and there was no changing my mind, there's a lot of, there's this worldly noise. And so this is the key, is we have to, that still small voice is the thing that's guiding us. And we've got to stay in touch with that, not let that worldly noise distract us. And it's very, very challenging. I'm sure, Ben, you ran into the same thing during your journey. So this was part of the reason, again, for the book, to kind of explain what that was, how that worked, and what lessons I learned from that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, amazing. Thank you for sharing that, Steve. I can definitely relate to it. And I think a lot of people can relate to that journey of people around you thinking you must be losing your mind and what are you doing, and don't throw it all away. And that can be very challenging, definitely, for people going through. So let's talk about, I know one of your many passion areas, Steve, in this transformational movement is conscious business. So, how can we leverage this unbelievable force of profit motive and business, entrepreneurialism, creativity? I mean, we know it doesn't work when we shut it down and try and cage it. But how can we have it in service to something higher than just itself? I know that's one of the kind of key questions of conscious capitalism. But with your incredible journey of being a super successful Silicon Valley tech entrepreneur, what are the lessons from that chapter of your life that can help us all as we navigate these work of really the evolution of humanity and transformation of consciousness? What are the lessons from Silicon Valley business that can really help and guide us and inform us to be more effective stewards of the missions that we're on?
Yes, so it's a big question and a really, really important question, conscious business. So I'm going to just kind of break this down into three parts. I actually created my own masterclass called Conscious Leadership, and there's a free program on the Humanities Team site that's an hour long that gets into what this is. And then I created a masterclass, which we're giving away right now as people purchase the book. It's a $300 masterclass, and the book's $18.99. So it's a kind of a nice deal. But so here's how I would break this apart. Is the first part is just our own awakening, where we really become fully conscious, awareness of what this conscious lifestyle is. The second part is then harnessing the full power of it, where we, even like right now in this moment, of where we're more in this, I call it this, like drift diving, instead of this logic center of the mind where our day would be roller coastery of this happened and that happened, good things, bad things. And when we're living consciously and we harness this whole power of it, and we're connected with nature, and that we're following that still small voice, it's not up and down like that. There's still challenges, but it's like drift diving. You're kind of in flow, throughout your day. And this is one of the many, there's psychic powers, there are healing dimensions to this, there are energy dimensions where we're raising our vibration, because we know we're energetic beings, vibrational beings. We know how to live in that higher vibrational state that serves us and everybody around us. So that's the second step, is really harnessing the fullness of what conscious living is. And then the third step, in conscious business, there are many actually dimensions to this. I'll talk to a few, but it's creating a culture now that's like what we've created, what we're living inside of in our body, where everybody feels like there's diversity and unity. There's a real love and a real truth telling that's going on in the business environment. The culture is that so some of the things we do could sound kind of trite here as I explain them, but we do a weekly meeting for our leadership team. And after everybody presents, we applaud the person, and it's not a just go, let's move on. It's a real heartfelt, hey, thank you. That's really good work. Thank you. And it's that, it's a genuine love and warmth and appreciation because everybody's bringing something beautiful. That's in conscious living or oneness or unity earth, of course, we're talking about beautiful diversity contributing from all these different corners. And the culture is that where you create a culture where people love each other. They respect each other's contribution. There's a lot of listening going on. Nobody's talking over people. There's no stacking. This is one, if I could call attention to so many things, but stacking in the Silicon Valley or mainstream world is where you're the leader. You've got 20 things. You got your time planner, your day planner, and you say, hey, I need this and this and this, 6 things. I'd like answers tomorrow to these things. You sort of stack them all. It feels heavy. If you're the one that's receiving that, it's like, okay, and you value your job. You take those things down and you sweat it a little bit to deliver those things tomorrow. You would never stack, okay, in a conscious business, never. It's one thing at a time. You're listening well to each other. You agree. The task is created. We take it to conclusion. Then the next one comes. Mm-hmm. So it's never. We're very mindful of how do we create a work environment that yes is responsible, yes is accountable, but where it feels fun. Where you're inspired to do the work. Where we're keeping that big dream in front of us of this world, this awakened. Where when we pass. Our kids have got this beautiful planet they're living on in relationships that are loving and with intimacy that reflects that, and where the planet doesn't have this existential crisis anymore going on. That's our dream that we're heading toward, and that's kept in front of the whole team. These are just a few of the things. Of course, when you recruit in this conscious business too, we're recruiting not just for people that have read the books that have the awareness logic center of the mind, but where we can feel they've embodied these teachings. They are expressing these teachings. They're living them. Very important, because if it's just logic center of the mind, there's going to be lots of sharp elbows. Can't have that in a conscious culture. So you're recruiting different, and then of course, as I mentioned, the whole environment is quite different. So those are a few of the things going on.
That's amazing, Steve. So a little insight into some of the ways to really create a culture of a conscious business. And of course, it's not just about doing things differently. It's about being different to what we've been before, and having a different, from the inside out.
I could say one thing real quick too, because if this is my success, so that I could not draw income, to do humanities team, was because we brought these things into a business. To any of you that are considering conscious business, this is far and away the most lucrative way to run your business too. Because what I'm describing is, of course, employees love this, but customers love it. Vendors who are always low on the totem pole, they love it. You're treating them, with integrity. You're treating them with real kindness. My business was in technology, but the donuts, book selling, healthcare, education, whatever your business is, in conscious business, I promise you're going to achieve much greater success with a business like this than the normal business where you're stacking stuff with employees, et cetera.
Oh, very, very beautiful. Great advice, Steve. Great inspiration as well. So a new universal dream. A new universal dream. That's a big title. Tell us, what does that mean to you, Steve? What would you say is at the heart of this new universal dream?
Oh boy, at the heart of it is where we are really living fully into ultimate reality. And again, there's so much science right now out there. Okay, so the Nobel Prize for Physics, October 2022, 3 leaders. Entanglement is the focus. What is entanglement? Different sides of the universe, You've got something on this side of a universe, James Webb's telescope, and this on another side of the universe, and they're affecting each other. How? Okay, now we're inside of properties of oneness, of an energetic universe that is all one thing. I mean, that's the only explanation you can bring to that Nobel Prize. Not to mention Sam Harriman's work or Greg Braden's or Bruce Lipton's, or we could go on. Science is affirming that, it's true. Everything from quantum scale to galaxies and everything in between, physical and non-physical, it's one energetic presence being. The scientists are saying that. You don't have to take it from Neale Donald Walsch, Conversations with God, or mystical teachings, right, that you and I follow, Ben, going back to 500 BCE. I mean, the scientists are saying, no, it's true. This is true. This is how it works. So what is the new universal dream? The new universal dream is where we just mature as a species, and I say mature as a species. I'll give you an example. 5-10 years ago, we talk about UFOs, and people would say, "Oh, you're a tree hugger or a new ager," Not today. Today we realize, yes, there are UFOs, there are James Webb Telescope. Of course, there's life all over the universe. Of course. I mean, how could there not be? Let's just mature to where we just have honest conversations, and we're not doing this tree hugger thing. This is one example. There are many examples in healing what has happened in the psychic area, what has happened, and in this energy work area where we raise our vibration. So where we're just we become a more mature species in this new universal dream. And then we join our place in the cosmos where, as we know, there's life of highly evolved beings all over, this multiverse out there. And our place, if we join them in this dream, is where we're living maturely in it, where we're sharing things. There's not intense competition. Why would you be in competition with a part of yourself? Doesn't make any sense, where we're sharing, not even ownership, we look at differently, right? We see that there are 8 billion faces of the one here, and we're creating compassionate, loving, in service ways of living together. So this whole great awakening is coming into full bloom. This great shift of the ages, this pivot that we're well into, is coming into maturity. And that's the new universal dream, where we're just living into who we already are today, but we didn't know. We didn't grow up in grade school knowing these things. This is a big, huge, paradigm shift to understand what ultimate reality is versus in grade school, where I was told, you were lucky sperm with lucky egg, and you got one lifetime and good luck. I hope you can make something of it before you go to dust. There's this radically new story now that I'm living into. So it's quite a shift. And boy, in that dream where if we all dream that dream, where we're living as a mature species, wow. I mean, think of in your intimate relationships, what that looks like, and in your classrooms and in your boardrooms and out in healthcare, et cetera. I mean, it's such a beautiful world.
Mm-hmm. Oh, beautiful, Steve. So inspirational. It's very inspirational to hear you speak about, your story, your journey, and then, the whole story and the whole journey that we're all on together. It really is electrifying stuff. Let me just read a little bit about the book, because I think it's important people know what's on offer here. A New Universal Dream is the inspiring story of Steve's journey from the pursuit of wealth and traditional ideas of success toward a more fulfilling life of caring and service to others and to humanity. It's also the story of the potential each of us have for profound change and the power we all hold to open ourselves ever deeper to the oneness of all things and to evolve ourselves consciously towards the highest version of ourselves. This book will arm you with ideas, tools, and a roadmap to a greater awareness and hope for the future as you become a more conscious leader in your family, workplace, and community, and play your part in helping to create a better world. That is so beautiful, Steve. And to sweeten the deal, there's a few bonuses for those who purchase the book. As Steve mentioned before, the 8-week masterclass, which sounds amazing. Conscious Leadership, the art of leading from the heart. So much value on offer here. Steve, where's the very best place for people to go and get this amazing book?
Well, thank you, first of all, Ben. Thank you for that. And, of course, Amazon and Barnes & Noble and bookstores overseas, and there's an Audible book out soon. And So I think that it should be pretty available. Yeah, I don't think you should have trouble finding it.
Okay, that's great. So Amazon and Barnes and Noble are the easy ones to find online. And let's just talk for a little bit as we come to a conclusion here, Steve, about the future. Now, in the book, you go into some detail about the initiative that you have at the moment, Changing Humanity's Future, which is really inviting all readers and everybody into a hopeful vision for the future where we are living as diversity in unity, creating a sustainable and flourishing humanity and planet by 2040. It's interesting, the 2040. So tell us a little bit about Changing Humanity's Future and how can we get involved?
Yeah, thank you, Ben. Well, so the initiative was born a year ago. And the reason it was born is what we noticed, and I'm sure viewers, you can all relate to this, is you've been in more than one conversation like this. I was in a conversation like this with my brothers. I actually have 4 brothers. And we were sitting in a retreat, and the whole world situation came up of, global warming, and then Ukraine that could become World War III, and then guns, and then polarity and politics and all of these things. And they said, oh my God, we all have kids. I wonder what the future holds here. So it's kind of a spiral down conversation. Now, of course, my older brother, Kevin, who has worked now on humanities team for a few years, and I were there. So Kevin said, hey, this is what Steve does. His whole thing is conscious living that is kind of, there's a pioneering effort, where people are walking to a beautiful new world. And so I was talking then about what this work is and how it works and so on. But we realized that we had been in many conversations like this where there was nobody that was giving voice to the conscious journey. And even though we were well into this pivot, as we know, there are there's a lot of proof of this whole conscious journey, that where we create this sustainable and flourishing humankind and world. We all can see it and feel it and taste it. We're on our way. And yet, in these conversations, we observed that there weren't many people coming in as a voice of, hey, let's stop okay, we all know about this stuff. We're not putting our head in the sand here, but let's just talk about some of the really encouraging, positive, healing, health and well-being, things that are going on, So that was why the initiative was born, is let's invite people to be that voice, to embody this work, to express it, out in the world, and to just get this thing turned around so that the whole of humanity can bring into the conversation this whole, that by 2040, this was our download that we got from the one, that by 2040 we can make it pervasive worldwide. So simply receive that. And stop this existential crisis thing. Of course, we know there's an existential crisis. We're adults, we're mature. But if we all live into this, the fullness of oneness, of unity consciousness, of conscious living, we can call it many different things. The new spirituality goes by many different names. Doesn't matter what we call it, but I think we know from this conversation what we're talking about. When we live into the fullness of this, and then we do it together, guess what? This whole Malcolm Gladwell thing, tipping point, happens, that we create this whole new reality on Earth, and it's microcosm, macrocosm, right? So as we become healed ourselves, living in the fullness of this oneness, and enough of us do that, then the outer world starts to reflect that. The problem today, in today's world, with all of these problems, is there are too few of us that are living into the fullness of consciously, of living consciously, of living in oneness or unity consciousness. So that's the effort. We do meetings quarterly where Neale Donald Walsch, the Conversations with God Foundation, joined Humanities team in launching this. Other leaders, Michael Bernard Beckwith, Suzanne Giesman, way too many to count. Leaders you may know we have a streaming platform called Humanity Stream Plus. All of that faculty is on board. They come and speak with us about living consciously and inviting people to really deepen our own conscious journey, and then invite others to live this way also. So if you go to changinhumanitiesfuture.org, okay, changinhumanitiesfuture.org, you'll see the whole initiative. It even has action steps in there. It has proof steps proof of this conscious reality, where we bring in what scientists and Nobel people back to antiquity have shared about oneness, Plato, Hippocrates, etc. Also conversations with God that's been very clear in saying, we're already well into this journey, and we can get there. We will get there. These are some of the steps we can take. So we've distilled all of that down into this changinghumanitiesfuture.org page. And we're just inviting the whole world, the Hollow Movement. This was part of, we're joining with the Hollow Movement. We're joining with Unity Earth. We're joining with Purpose Earth. We're joining with all of these wonderful organizations that are devoted to the same thing, where we're creating this beautiful future for ourselves and our kids and future generations.
Yeah, it's a magnificent and beautiful vision, Steve, and one that is manifesting in our days. So I love this walk towards 2040. We're with you. We're really grateful. Thank you, Steve, for being with us today, and thank you for being an ambassador for World Unity Week, and most of all, thank you for saying yes in 1995 when you had the call and you had those early opportunities to pivot from the path you were on to a new universal dream as we open this door, and we model that for each other. You're a wonderful leader in our movement, Steve Farrell, and we're very, very grateful. Thank you for being with us, and thank you for this wonderful, lively dialogue and exchange in World Unity Week.
World Unity Week. Go World Unity Week. Woo! Such an important program. And thank you for being the pioneer leader that made this all happen, Ben. Brought so many people together around the world to celebrate World Unity Week, which is huge. Thank you for that, brother.
Well, and I think, we're in it together. What I'm excited about, Steve, too, is more than ever as we work, towards from here and where we go from here, is there's just more synergy. There's more, it's beyond collaboration. It's really that spirit of unity, that hollow movement essence where, we flow from World Unity Week through the 99 Days to Peace Week and then on to the Global Oneness Summit and, in October, and that it's seamless and that really is all of us doing together. And I can feel that this year in a really beautiful way. So thank you again to you and your team. We just couldn't be more happy than to be doing this together with you.
Yeah. And back at you, because World Unity Week, wow. I mean, you crossed the whole United States in a caravan and, been to over to the Middle East and Canada and all over the world with World Unity Week. And it's beautiful. Yeah. Thank you, brother. Really wonderful to be a part of your World Unity Week.
Thank you, Steve Farrell. Go and get the book, A New Universal Dream. Jump on Amazon or any good bookstore and get it now. It's got important messages and stories for your journey and for your family and friends as well. So get out there and spread the good word. And thank you, Brother Steve, for being with us today.
Thank you.
Well, hello, friends. My name is Ben Boulder from Unity Earth, and
we don't all have to make the same choice to know respect and empathy. To be the change, gonna take a new mind frame of forgiveness, one earth and family. Shine your light, you are the future being told. Cultivating the seeds we've sown. 99 days of peace through unity. 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 Quiet your spirit.
Taking it from here, Sister Hoffman, we give thanks to the Most High. Shout out to all the family conscious. We'll be traveling to higher dimensional fields of enlightenment where life is the essence of existence. Yes. Peace to every soul that works to bring in light and life. The light workers, the mystics, ambassadors, and all from the four corners of the four waters. All the saviors among the many, many cultures. Honored to be the one to bring to you the light this morning, afternoon, or evening according to your timeline. The oneness is the truth, and I'ma preach it until global unity becomes a reality, please. Yes. 99 days of peace we can have it in 99 99 ways and 99 places. Achieving global unity, brotherhood is key. Tune into the spirit, let your vibe raise. Blessings, blessings.
Lift your voice, your unique mission is a key. Listen deep, and we'll all find harmony.
rising. Rise. It's a new earth rising. Rise. New earth rising. Rising in love. We rise.
New earth rising.
Rise.
New earth rising.
Rise.
New earth rising.
Rising in love. We rise. It's a new earth rising. Rise. See the new earth rising. Rise. Feel the new earth rising. Rising in love. We rise.
New earth rising.
Rise.
New earth rising.
Rise.
Rising.
Rising in love. We rise. We rise. We rise. We rise. Rising up.
Let me tell you about the lie we've been living in for centuries, millennia. They say peace through domination's justifiable while building up the arsenal. All the sages and wise men of the ages were guiding us to look within ourselves. But the fear so divisive and the lies so enticing, we keep spinning this hell. Raise your